Welcome to E-Pathshala program. I am Sanjeev Kumar Mahajan, Professor in Public Administration and Dean Students Welfare, Himachal Pradesh University, Shimla. I'll be talking about the parliamentary committees in a system in India. In this topic, we are going to introduce this concept of parliamentary system, its utility, and the types of committees which we have in the country at present. Now, friends, in modern times, the work of the parliament is wide-ranging and multifaceted. The need for committee system or the evolution of committee system has resulted out of lack of technical expertise and time. The parliament is assisted by different parliamentary committees. Now, as we know, people in India, they elect their own representatives at various levels and at the Lok Sabha level also. And it is not necessary the people who are elected to the parliament or Lok Sabha are technically sound people. That means they have a technical expertise or they have the knowledge about technical issues which the country is facing or which is required, or knowledge which is required to carry out the activities of the nation. Now, in order to assist them, we have evolved this system of committee system in the country. Now, parliamentary committee means a committee which is appointed or elected by the House or nominated by the Speaker. It works under the direction of the Speaker and presents its report to the House or to the Speaker and the Secretariat, for which is provided by the Lok Sabha Secretariat. So, as we know that these committees are the creation of the parliament, its role is considered as is seen as a balancing factor in the system. Now, these committees actively participates in the working of the parliament. It tries to link the gap with the tremendous work that needs to be done and delivered to the public by the executive and the parliament. They act as the vigilant of the legislature over the actions of the executive. As we know, the role of the parliament is to formulate policies and is carried out by the executive. The implementation part is looked after by the executive, and for monitoring the work of the executive or the activities performed by the executive, we have this system of parliamentary committees. Like in India, we have different kinds of parliamentary committees, such as ad hoc committees, standing committees, financial committees. Now, in financial committees, we will be basically concerned with the financial committees, since this paper or module or course is on economic and financial administration. So, we will be just restricting ourselves to the financial committees which are present in the country. And these financial committees can be classified into three categories. One, estimate committees. Second, public accounts committee. And third, committee on public undertaking. Friends, before we start with the financial committees in detail, it is worth knowing what are ad hoc committees or standing committees. What do we mean by this? Ad hoc committees are those committees that are constituted to achieve a particular target and do not continue once they have completed their target and have submitted their action taken report to the parliament, which means they are created to look into a specific problem as and when the parliament feels right that we should have a specialist committee or you can say ad hoc committee to look into a specific matter. Now, these committee, they exist only when it is created and it ceases when it submits its report and action taken report. Now, second committee or second type of committee is standing committee. Now, standing committees are permanent and regular committees which are constituted from time to time as per the Act of the Parliament or rules of procedure and conduct of business in Lok Sabha. Now, these committees are permanent, but they are been assigned to look after different aspects by the Parliament. Now, we talk about the financial committees. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the financial committees are three: Estimates Committee, Public Accounts Committee, and Committee on Public Undertaking. Now, we start with Estimates Committee. Now, Estimates Committee was formulated for the first time in 1950. The committee consists of 30 members from the Lok Sabha and who are elected every year. A term of office of the committee is 1 year. Now, this committee is headed by a chairperson who is one of the member or amongst the members who are elected to this committee. A minister cannot be elected as a member of the committee, and if he is elected, the member after his election to the committee is appointed, he ceases to be a member of the committee. Now, that means once he becomes a member of the Council of Ministers, he cannot remain as a member of the Estimates Committee. As I mentioned, the term of the committee is 1 year is given in the provision. That's the provision for 1 year. Now we discuss the functions of the Estimates Committee. This committee studies the estimates of the budget which have an impact on the economy, what type of improvements can be made in various organizations, administrative reforms which can be initiated in alignment with the policies laid down by the government. Friends, it is important to mention that the policies which are laid down by the government in power, government in the center, always tries to focus its policies based on its election manifesto, because people give their mandate on the basis of the election manifesto, and the points mentioned or the issues raised in the election manifestos, they are converted into policy decisions. So the purpose here is that the government, in alignment with the policies, take care of this thing by the Estimates Committee. The purpose of the Estimates Committee is to advise, to propose alternative policies to enhance efficiency and economy in administration. Further, it scrutinizes if funds were spent wisely according to the policy, within the limits of the policy, as proposed in the estimates. The format of the estimates to be presented to the Parliament is purported by the committee. Now, these things have been discussed in detail in the text. So, you can supplement this lecture with the text available with you, and you can go through in detail. Now, we discuss how the Estimates Committee work. That is the working of the Estimates Committee. Now, after the constitution of the Estimates Committee, it is formulated. The committee identifies and estimates of a ministry, department of the central government, or a statutory body, or other bodies of the central government, if it scrutinizes those issues also that are referred to the Estimates Committee by the Speaker of the House. It also talks about other issues which the Speaker gives to them. They study it and scrutinize it. It can also ask for memorandum from the citizens not holding any official position with respect to the issue, so that it brings more clarity and detail to the members of the committee. The Estimates Committee constitutes one or more subcommittees or study groups. This is done so that more areas, more work can be done. Now, the group of these, the purpose of creation of subcommittees is to include and cover maximum areas, maximum ministries, or maximum bodies, central bodies, so that the large areas can be looked into. The members of the estimate committee have the authority to meet the representatives of the Chamber of Commerce and other non-official trade organizations and bodies which are related to the matter at hand with the committee. On such study group tours are also undertaken, and for which the permission is granted by the Speaker of the House. Lastly, the committee prepares the report and tables it in the Lok Sabha. The ministry or department concerned is supposed to take action on the recommendation and conclusions mentioned in the report within 6 months. Then these ministries who are supposed, lastly, the committee prepares its report, which are tabled in the Lok Sabha. The ministry or department concerned is supposed to take action on the recommendations and conclusions mentioned in the report within 6 months. The estimate committee scrutinizes the explanatory notes of the government, and thereafter an action taken report is presented to the House. The response of the ministries or departments to the recommendations contained in the action taken reports is laid on the table of Lok Sabha in the form of statements. Now we move on to second committee, that is Public Accounts Committee. It consists of 22 members. 15 members are drawn from the Lok Sabha. 7 members are drawn from Rajya Sabha every year from amongst its members according to the principle of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. Now, Speaker appoints the chairman. The tradition is that the chairman is always appointed from the main opposition party in the House, and it is appointed by the Speaker of the House. The term of the office of the members of the committee is 1 year. A member of the committee cannot remain a minister if he happens to be elected as a member of Public Accounts Committee. Then he ceases to be a member of that committee after his election or after he becomes a minister in the Council of Ministers. Now we discuss the functions of Public Accounts Committee. First, it examines the accounts. It scrutinizes the reports of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, who submits his report to the Parliament, and that report is examined by him. Then secondly, this committee talks about appropriation account, that is, the amount disbursed depicts in the account are verified if they are allocated legally and were used for the specific purpose it had been meant for, which means the money which is available with the organization or the department or the ministry is legally available. That means it is really appropriated by the appropriate agencies and has been spent on the you can say policies or the programs for which it has been meant. It also examines if the tax structure of the government is sound after examining the reports of the Comptroller and Auditor General on revenue receipts and suggests ways to cut leaks and avoidance of tax. Now that means wherever there is a possibility of leakage of funds or the money is being misappropriated or embezzled, so it points out how these issues or these leaks can be avoided or can be plugged. Secondly, how if at all there is avoidance of tax, how that can be plugged. Secondly, it also checks the scope of the demand that has been adhered to by the government while spending the allocated funds. Lastly, the cases concerning loss, wasteful expenditure and any other financial irregularities are examined closely and decided. The committee cannot complete its work sitting in the office, but has to go to the specific department or ministries to have discussion with the officials or non-officials with respect to the selected paragraphs of the reports. Such tours and visits are to be approved by the Speaker as per the procedure of the Lok Sabha. Normally, the minister concerned is not called for evidence by the committee. The committee completes all the evidence taken from the witnesses. If the chairman of the committee deems it essential that the minister has to be consulted, then an informal discussion can be held in this regard. Any issues of policy formulation by the ministry with which the committee does not see eye to eye, that can be discussed. Any confidential issues which the committee thinks unfit to be put on record in its report is not reported in the report, but these issues are discussed informally. Now, after this, the committee reports and reports the minutes. The deliberations are compiled into conclusive statements with respect to the chosen subjects of the report. Such conclusions of the committee are then adopted by the committee, and the chairman submits his report to the parliament or specifically the Lok Sabha. The minutes of the sittings of the committee are also included in the part 2 of the report. A copy of report of the committee is also tabled in the Rajya Sabha. The members of both the houses accept the reports of the committee by the consensus amongst the members. After that, the action taken report is prepared. The copies of the action taken report, the copies of the report of the committee is circulated to all the related ministries or the departments once they have been submitted in the parliament. The recommendations and observations mentioned in the report form the basis of the action taken report. Each ministry or department is supposed to submit its observations, reply to the observations made by the Public Accounts Committee within 6 months, and then those are compiled, studied by Public Account Committee. The action taken replies are filed and taken into consideration by the action taken subcommittee, and then the action taken report is prepared by the committee, which are presented in the House. A copy of the report is also submitted in the Rajya Sabha. The last committee is Committee on Public Undertakings. The committee consists of 22 members. 15 members are drawn from Lok Sabha. 7 members are drawn from Rajya Sabha every year from amongst its members. The election is done as per the principle of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. The Speaker appoints the chairman of the committee from amongst the members of the committee. Normally, the tenure of the committee is 1 year. The purpose of creation of this committee was because of the investments made in public sector undertakings by Government of India. As we see that central public sector undertakings since independence after Industrial Policy Resolution 1948, we see the emphasis is on to achieve socialistic pattern of society. And with this respect, the Government of India started establishing different public sector undertakings under its domain. And with every passing 5-year plans, you see that the massive investment has gone into these public sector undertakings. That was the basis that it was suggested to create a separate committee which will only look after central public sector undertakings, working, functioning, with respect to organization, with respect to finance, and other managerial related issues. For this committee was created. Now, this committee, the functions of the committee are like this: that the functions of the committee on Committee on Public Undertakings can be summarized in short as in few points. It has the function to scrutinize the reports and accounts that are mentioned in the fourth schedule of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in Lok Sabha and the reports of the Comptroller and Auditor General. It studies and analyzes if the public enterprises are managing their resources, business as per the directions judiciously on the basis of principle of business and best commerce practices available in the market. It examines if the undertaking is being successful in maintaining autonomy and efficiency. It also examines subject or matters which may be specifically referred to this committee by the Parliament. The Speaker can ask the Committee on Public Undertakings to probe into certain specific issues which he or she may consider important and relevant to the time. Committee also looks after the scrutiny and allows the matter, a policy matter, to be discussed. And the committee, on the basis of scrutiny, can recall any records from any public enterprises. And in order to cover many enterprises within the stipulated period of time, now this committee is divided into subcommittees or subgroups, and each committee subcommittee is considered as if the whole committee is working together. They submit its report, they finalize their draft and submit its report, and that report to the Parliament. And this is how the Committee on Public Undertaking is carrying out its activities. The major flaw with this Committee on Public Undertaking is that the number of public enterprises in India has grown tremendously after independence, and in order to study any public enterprises from a holistic point of view, it takes a lot of time. Even if subcommittees are created, they at the most, the biggest criticism is that the most only 8 to 10 public undertakings can be studied in detail every year. So we have about 260 public enterprises at present in the country, which makes that the number of other public enterprises are not included or cannot be studied because of paucity of time and the legality behind this. So committee also sometimes takes the help of the technical people, expert advice, but still it is unable to fulfill and examine all public undertakings. After discussing these three committees, financial committees, now from this, what we can conclude is that there are certain weaknesses of the Indian parliamentary system in India. India is currently in a stage of political slogan shouting and party alliances. A great deal of responsibility falls on the parliamentary committees to act as a watchdog to the government. There has been tenfold increase in the number of committees in India since 1950. As compared to other countries, the Indian parliamentary system is considered weak and inefficient. The infrastructure of the committee is definitely strong, but there are the shades of grey where improvements are badly needed. There are certain weaknesses of the parliamentary committees in India. The first major weakness is criminalization of politics. As we are aware that Vora committee studied the criminalization of politics and their intrinsic connection with the politicians. So according to this committee, there is a direct linkage between the politician and the criminals. The MPs, the members of the parliament, are usually found to do favors for the goons to survive in the constituencies. This task of MPs is difficult to understand as a member of the committee, because once they have some kind of a relationship with the goons and they are going to study the people in their own constituency, So it is not wise on their part to be impartial, because they cannot remain partial, because they have already links with the goons in the constituency. So they cannot act impartially. So they do not get sufficient time for doing effective work in either of the jobs, not either as the member of parliament, not as a member of the committee. Now, second major weakness of this parliamentary system is lack of norms. Now, in India, normally we have seen that higher you are in the hierarchy, lesser norms we follow. Now, that is very true in case of the members of the parliament. Though they are the lawmakers, but they consider themselves to be above the law. So they don't adhere to the laws. So norms which are laid down, because in every system, the work is carried out in a particular manner, in a defined manner. We have a procedure to carry out the activities. If these norms are floated by the members of the parliament to their own convenience, for their own benefits, for their own comfort, then how we can think that these members of parliament can give an unbiased opinion vis-a-vis the matter under consideration. Now, that is the basic problem, because of which the committee suffers. As a result, the members are shuffled to avoid building up of clout of the committee members, which results in compromise of result and their study. The basic problem which we face in India is that results are normally compromised with the study. That means that the people, they somehow, who have the relations with goons, try to protect them, and they will come out with the softer laws or softer implementation of not proper implementation of those laws, and the evaluation is not done at the appropriate level. So these politicians, they take advantage, and they normally don't follow the norms. Third is minimal attendance. Now, as per the practice of the modern days, the parliamentary democracies world over, you see that once they get elected, they hardly visit the parliament. When the party issues the whip, only then the members of the parliament are present in the parliament. Otherwise, given a choice, they will not attend the parliament. Now, this results in that even though the members fight to get membership of the committees, because these financial committees are considered to be the most prestigious financial committees of the parliamentary system, they will always work and fight to get its membership. Once they get it, then they occasionally attend those meetings. So mostly members of the parliament, they don't attend the meetings, they don't go for the meetings, and it results in delay in reports. The next weakness is failure in oversight. The committee failed to cap the internal debt as all allocation of funds are done via budget. Now, in India, the practice is that the money is made available to all the ministries, to all the departments through general budget. Now, this year we have combined railway budget also. Now we have only one budget, general budget we had on 1st of February. And in this, you will see that all major ministries, the budget was allocated. Now, this government, that means the other government has all the power to appropriate funds and does not attempt to control the internal debt. This results in failure in legislature oversight. Last we have is a centralized party system. Now, over the period of time, what we have seen that in the parliament, the members of the parliament, they toe the party lines, and sometimes they ignore the public interest because it doesn't suit them, and then they follow or toe the party lines. Even if they are wrong, they have to do it because they belong to a particular party. Now, this Indian party system because it has become very centralized structure, which permits the committee rooms also. The reports are influenced from the party whip. On the other hand, party dissidents. That means if the party wants that the thing is to be carried out, as we see over the past few years, that the functioning of the parliament is hampered on the basis of party lines, not on the basis of the issues or the bills which are of importance. Now that means the party gives more importance to its own political ideology and hardly talks about in the interest of the nation. If the bill is pending, let it be there. We are not bothered. Only what matters is the interest of the party. If the party is going to gain, then they will work for it. If the party is going to lose, the whole work comes to standstill. Now, in this module, we have tried to highlight the different committee structure being followed in Indian parliamentary system. And of course, what we are more concerned is about the financial committees. We have discussed the estimates committee in detail. That means how it is constituted, how it works, and how it submits its report, what are the areas which comes into its domain. Second, we talked about the Public Accounts Committee on the same pattern, composition, working, and reporting. Similarly, in the last, we discussed about the Committee on Public Undertaking, its role, how it is constituted, how it performs its functions, and in the end of this module, we have tried to highlight the issues which are there in the parliamentary system, which reflects the weaknesses of the parliamentary system. Finally, at the end, we conclude this module by saying that how important the committee system is in the parliamentary system, and for which we have seen that different kinds of committees are constituted, as we mentioned about ad hoc committees, standing committees, and financial committees. In this module, we have tried to study and highlight the importance of financial committees, that is, Estimates Committee, Public Accounts Committee, and then Committee on Public Undertaking. Now, in which we try to discuss the utility, the composition, the working, and its utility. And at the end of this module, we try to highlight the major weaknesses which the Indian parliamentary system is facing. If we are able to remove these weaknesses or ills from the parliamentary system, now these financial committees can work much better, more efficiently, more effectively. Thank you.